So we've discussed what urgency is, and now these are the strategies that I run through with clients in the clinic to help them manage that urgency. So step one is always to look at how the pelvic floor is functioning and make sure that it's working well. It's not over tight, it's not too weak. We want to build strength in the pelvic floor so that when you're getting that sudden urge to go, you can pull those pelvic floor muscles on quite strongly, and that'll do two things. First of all, it'll help to stop leakage. Secondly, there's a reflex that happens. So when you contract your pelvic floor strongly, there's a reflex that happens that actually calms the bladder down. It stops it from squeezing and tells it, hey, we're not ready to go, relax, which can obviously help stop that urge from happening. So that's why pelvic floor exercises are super important. The other thing is to look for whether there's any irritants that you're having. So caffeine's a little bit of a funny one. For some people seem to be a little bit sensitive to caffeine, others not. What I would suggest is try cutting out caffeine, switch to a decaf and see if that helps your symptoms. If not, keep having it. What I find really irritating, especially to me, is actually fizzy drinks. Like, I don't drink soft drink, but I drink mineral water or soda water, and I love that, but I know that it sets me off. So I have to, when I have it, just know that I'm going to get urgency and manage it as best I can because I don't want to give it up. Alcohol is another one, so be careful with that. And herbal teas are normally fine, but peppermint tea seems to be a little bit of an irritant as well, so keep that in mind if you are suffering. The other thing that we talk about is strategies then that you can use when the urgency comes on. But before I get to that, I forgot to say, stop going to the toilet for no reason. So if you're about to leave the house and you think, I'll go just in case, unless you're going somewhere where there is no bathrooms, try not to do it. Because every time and people who start to get leakage panic, so they go all the time to try and keep their bladder empty. But what that does is it actually it prevents it from, being able to expand well. It doesn't like it when it's not done it much. So you can imagine that if your bladder is, basically a muscle, that if you're not ever really stretching it and filling it up, then it sometimes doesn't like that. So what it'll do is it'll start to fill, and then it goes, ooh, I don't like this feeling of stretching, and it wants to squeeze. If you've had lots of UTIs, then your bladder can be quite irritable and it doesn't like stretching. So I often tell women to make sure that they're having good amounts of fluid, but they're not having big clumps of it all at once. So if you're having heaps of fluid all at once, you're going to make lots of urine and your bladder's going to have to cope with this big influx of fluid. Best to space it out regularly throughout the day so that you're not getting overwhelmed. So we've talked about pelvic floor exercises, not going to the toilet all the time just in case, avoiding bladder irritants, managing UTIs. So strategies if it comes on. If you know every time you get home and you're about to put the key in the door, it comes on, then when it's happening, you want to try and use these strategies to calm the bladder down so that you don't have to rush to the toilet. And while you're getting in control of your bladder again, you're likely to have accidents. Don't stress about that. Until you get stronger and your bladder calms down a bit, that's likely to happen. But it's best to try and take back the control than just let the bladder stay in control. So if this sudden urge comes on, you know it's urgency because a minute ago you didn't have any sensation in the bladder. Then what you can do is obviously contract the pelvic floor nice and strongly. Scrunch your toes into the floor. It's another reflex that helps to calm the bladder. Mentally distract yourself. So I count backwards from 100 in 3s or 4s. Change it up so that you don't get used to it. Something you really have to think about. Calm your breathing. So often we go and we hold our breath. And when you hold your breath, you're building up that abdominal pressure, which is going to put more force down on the bladder. Calm, relaxed breathing, mental distraction, contraction of the pelvic floor, scrunch the toes. You can use clitoral pressure if you're at home. It's probably a little bit socially unacceptable to do that in public, but little girls do it all the time. And try and wait for that urge to pass. And it will. And then think, okay, well, do I really need to go to the toilet? If you've got no sensation there, then try and delay and don't go until you're getting that normal build-up of sensation that happens. And then we use that as a strategy to try and help avoid it coming on in the first place. So if you know that coming home or running water is what sets you off, then eventually we get you to train that. So you start to do these techniques before you actually do the trigger. So before you get home, before you turn the water on, you're distracting yourself, you're engaging your pelvic floor, breathing, all that type of thing, so that you can train yourself out of that pattern. So I hope that helps, but please do go and seek professional help so that you can get a strategy that's right for you. Some people need more intense intervention, so this is just some basic information. But let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to chat about.